Hi everyone. Today we're going to learn how to spot a modulation in the shortest time possible. So you might be being queried if you're performing a piece in an exam. They might ask you some questions about it afterwards. Or you might be doing some analysis work for a theory exam. So here it is. It's really easy. How do we spot a modulation? Well, here's the principle. If you see a raised note, it will most likely be the leading note of the scale it's modulating to. The leading note is the seventh note of the scale, right? Raised note, seventh note of the scale it's modulating to. If you see a lowered note, it will most likely be the fourth note of the scale it's modulating to. Anyway, let's have a quick look. Here is a Bach suite, French suite number 4 in E flat major. How do I know it's E flat major? Well, that's easy. We've got 3 flats, battle, and. So look at the second last flat, and that's it, E flat. So one of the things you should also do when you look at the first key signature of a piece, know what the major scale is. That's easy, second last flat, and that's it. But also, it could be in the relative minor. So the relative minor is going to be the submedian of the major scale. Submedian is the 6th note. So E flat major, 6th note of E flat major is C minor. Okay, so it could be in C minor, so watch out for it because you know straight away that with C minor, typically you would raise the 7th note for the harmonic minor anyway. So you would probably expect to see a B natural occur if Bach happens to go into the relative minor key of C minor. So we'll keep that in mind. Anyway, off we go. We start moving through the music, playing away, and da-da-da, and oh, wow, there you go. We have an accidental. That's a note that's not in the key signature. So suddenly a B natural appears. So what was my theory? Well, if you see a raised note, that's been raised from what you see in the key signature, it will be the leading note, meaning the 7th note of the scale it's modulating to. So B natural equals 7th of, now it would either be C major or C minor. Now take an educated guess. We've already worked out that C minor is the relative minor. Here we have a B natural. B natural is the 7th of C minor. So Bach has modulated to C minor. Now, to confirm that, you should see a resolve to C minor, to the tonic chord of that key. So that's the way to confirm. So you see a raised note, you go, aha, it is most likely the leading note of the scale it's modulating to, but then you should see some movement in the harmony to confirm the tonic chord of the new key. So in that case, a B natural occurred, and yes, here's the dominant of C minor going to C minor. Okay, so there's the first modulation, C minor. Now, it is a brief modulation, which sometimes we would refer to as a tonicization, but I'm not going to get too bogged down into that. All right, we're moving along, and oh, wow, there's an A natural, right? A natural. If you see a raised note, it will most likely be the leading note, meaning the 7th note of the key it's modulating to. So I say raised because in the key signature it's an A flat, and suddenly here we have an A natural. So that note was raised, okay? All right, so A equals the 7th of, so it's always a semitone up. 7th note of the scale will be a semitone from the upper tonic. So A natural, 7th of B flat major. Now, it could be B flat minor, but seriously, we're in E flat major. What's the dominant key of E flat major? And that's B flat major. So, be aware of the common modulations. So, relative minor, the dominant, the subdominant, and that's how you can easily tell the modulation. Okay. So here Bach briefly goes into B flat major. Do we confirm that modulation? Yep. There we go. And that seems to continue as well. So it's quite likely that Bach is going to he actually finishes that section on the dominant key of B flat major, which means that's a modulation, whereas a sort of a brief passing through, like here for C minor, is more of what we call a tonicization. Now, I might shoot all the way back to the first movement of this suite because I want to show you something else. Okay, so we start this music and yep, we're in E flat major. We've already figured that out. So off we go. We travel along and oh my gosh, we have a lowered note, right? So we've got the D flat. So D flat doesn't belong to the key signature and it's a lowered note. So my story is if you see the lowered note, it'll most likely be the fourth of the key it's modulating to. So in what scale is D flat the fourth note? Well, that's pretty easy. In fact, another way you can do it is if we added the D flat to this key signature, if I may be so bold, we would have A flat major. So D flat equals fourth of D flat major. And again, like before, we should see some type of confirmation. So it should move. Here we've actually got an E flat pedal point. But, you know, here's the dominant of, because we've got G, B flat, or got E flat, G, B flat, D flat, which is the dominant seventh of A flat major. And then, of course, moving to, and here he is outlining the tonic chord of A flat major. So he's confirmed that brief modulation, which we'd probably refer to as a tonicization, because just treating A flat as a tonic chord, where it's actually the subdominant of the key, the fourth chord of the key. But Beethoven gives it, oh my goodness me. Bach gives it some tonic treatment, just as a harmonic embellishment in his movement through the key. All right, so what's the takeaway? If you see a raised note, it's my sign for raise, equals seventh of new key. God, why you'd want to read my writing, I'd never know. It's terrible. If you see a lowered note, there's my sign for a lowered note. It will equal the fourth of new key. Okay? It's that easy, but you do need to confirm that you can see then a fairly direct move to the tonic of that new key to confirm it. Otherwise, it will be the subject of another video, which would be how to spot melodic chromatic embellishment. But we'll leave that for another time. Otherwise, take this and you can look really smart, particularly in your instrumental lessons.